It's time for the Deadcast.
Deadcast. I know I wasn't here last week, mainly because I was working. Yes, long shifts, but they were fun, goddammit. Anyway, we're here this week, and we're going to be talking about Evolve and the Order 1886. But I'm joined by my lifelong buddy, the old buddy best pal of mine. It's Chris Sumner.
Hello, guys. Nice to be back.
Yes, it is. It is good to be back. I've missed you, Chris.
Although, saying that, I really did enjoy your chat with Brumac on the last show.
Yes, if you did check out now, because I had a good chat with Mr. Brumac, another YouTuber who makes some cracking videos. And his,
about high school games.
Yeah, Resogun. And I'm still playing it now. And we're both getting pissed off with the weekly challenge because it's unbelievably hard.
Which is good. He sounded just as dedicated to it as you are.
He is dedicated.
Which is good.
He thinks I cheat. He thinks I'm a cheater, and I hate it. it's all legit.
Well, the thing
I
is,
do it all legit.
You know, high school games aren't my type of thing at all, so I'm glad you found someone who's just as passionate as you are about it.
Yeah. Well, I do enjoy playing games like that. I have for years. But the two games we're talking about today aren't about high scores, and the two. I know it's opinions and that, but considering they're both AAA games, and it's the start of 2015, I found that they're both lacking big time. There are some merits to both games, but they are, in the most part, quite disappointing for, I think, a lot of people, and critically, they're interesting for the critic scores as well. So I don't know if you've been following Evolve or The Order. But,
well, I've been following your reviews. I know your reviews for both games are on your channel now. But if you, listening at home, haven't played either of them, don't worry, because I'm in the same boat. I've not played either of them. I'm a complete shutout to both games, so I'm going to be asking loads of questions about them. Shan will hopefully have all the answers. Because at the moment, to be honest, I don't think either of them are worth the money. I don't want to come up as a cheapskate on this podcast, but I'm always talking about games not being worth what we pay for them these days, so hopefully you can tell us whether that's true or not.
Yeah, well, okay. Let's just start with Evolve. Now, the big controversy that went over Evolve was the microtransactions. And a lot of people were like, well, it doesn't matter, they're cosmetic. They're just cosmetic. But the thing is, yeah, alright, they're cosmetics, but the crap, the rubbish. These skin packs are just lazy. Which is, when you look at them, you're like, I'm paying, £4 for a tiger camo? Really? Come on. It's stupid, and I can't get behind that, whether it's by choice or not. I think if you're going to charge for something, make it good for a start. Evolve, at its core, is good on paper. 4 versus 1, man v beast, hunter becomes the hunted, David and Goliath. It's like, but in the way they've executed it, it's nowhere near as good as it could have been. These are the guys that made Left 4 Dead.
Which is quite disappointing, because that was always one of my go-to games on the 360. I've still got Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. Love the simplicity of the combat, but to me it just kind of sounds a bit like the way Destiny's gone. As soon as you've opened your copy of it, you're getting ads for DLC,
Season Pass.
And they're just treating you like a wallet, really.
See, what made Left 4 Dead good? On console it was alright, but on PC it was the community that created content for it. You could play as bloody Velociraptors, for God's sake. It was the modding community that made that game even better than it initially was. And what they've kind of done with Evolve is like, remember in Left 4 Dead, you're fighting zombies, you had the witches, you had all these interesting creatures, and then you had the tank that would come in, and you'd be all like running for your lives or shooting at the tank. Technically, they just took that out of Left 4 Dead and made a game out of it. And it's like, there could have been so much more to Evolve, but it seems so lacking and so plain. There are things to enjoy about it, but the problem is that it gets so repetitive and monotonous very quickly. The damn things are like a running simulator, because you'll spend whether you're a beast or man. Go on.
Isn't the talk of more beasts being released?
Yeah, that if you pre-ordered the game, and as far as I know, this is up and down, but the fourth monster was like a pre-order incentive nearly a year ago when it was announced. It's been known about for a long time, and it's still not ready. And then apparently, if you haven't got this pre-order incentive, it's going to cost like £12 for the monster alone. And a lot of people are like, well, that better come with other content like game modes and stuff, because I tell you now, Evolve, and when it comes to game modes, it's pretty much hunt and then defend said objective, extract said people, and shoot eggs. That's just for a AAA game to provide that much content in its game modes. It's shocking. It's absolutely shocking.
I wouldn't mind if it seemed a bit lacking at launch if they did what BioWare did with the multiplayer on Mass Effect 3. They kept adding free DLC every few months, and they kept the community growing, kept the character selection growing.
Mode has more content, even before it had all these patches and that, probably than Evolve did to begin with. And it's more fun to play as well. I still think Mass Effect 3's Horde mode is one of the... Extraction mode is one of the best co-op multiplayer games you can play with friends. It's so much fun. We had a lot of fun unlocking new characters and that.
Comparing it back to that example, I think Evolve could do quite well if maybe they don't have too much now, but they were going to keep adding to it if they didn't charge for this DLC. But the fact that they want about £12 per monster on top of the £40, £50 price tag,
game, yeah,
it's just going to add up and up and up.
I mean, it's not just a DLC. I mean, you can talk about DLC till you're blue in the face, but if you forget about that for a second and look at the game at its core, some of the design choices that have been made are ridiculous. Like, to unlock new characters in the game, you have to play a said character and then level up each ability. And what you'll find when you're playing online, people will be using just one or two abilities because they want to level up to get a character that they want to play as. So most of the time you'll find yourself going to be losing the match because people are focusing on certain abilities rather than having those abilities accessible or having the other characters accessible. I mean, the way Mass Effect did it was that it gave you the packs that you unlocked a variety of equipment. And I think the way Plants vs Zombies does it, unfortunately Dragon's Age Inquisition kind of does it, but not very well.
Yeah,
and
they kind of messed up the
loot
system.
That's the best way to unlock content. Even Advanced Warfare, you get loot boxes, and in Battlefield you get content boxes that give you random content for each player and stuff like that, and I like that. But in this, it's like grind, shoot things, use this constant ability, you've unlocked a new character, rinse and repeat until you've done all the abilities. And it's just like, is that it? Is this? And then you don't unlock any extra weapons, you don't unlock anything other than emblems and skin packs. And it's just, come on, they could have done better. I mean, people might be happy with that, and if they are, fine, but for a AAA developer making a big game that's, with a £50 price tag, I expect a bit more diversity in a game. And Evolve is certainly lacking diversity in so many ways. I mean, there are moments when it's fun. When it works, and you've got, you've got four friends fighting one monster, and you're trying to trap him down, and you're looking for the birds and the movements, it's cool. But it's best played in small doses. It's not a game you can play all day. I could play Destiny all day and have fun playing that, but I couldn't play Evolve all day because it just gets too old too quick. Really, really quick.
Yeah, it's not doing much to entice me, to be honest, from what I've heard.
I wouldn't tell you to go out and buy this game now. It's not a game like you gotta get Evolved. You need to play this game today. It might be worth a go. Maybe when it's about £20. A budget pick-up just to see what it's like, but by then the online might be dead. I can't see how... how Brink... Did you ever play Brink?
No.
Remember Brink? That was... I think it's Bethesda that was behind that, and there was hype about Brink. Oh my god, Call of Duty killer, some people were calling it. Brink's going to be amazing. So much customization. But unfortunately, it fell on its arse because it had terrible netcode. It was practically unplayable, and what they made out it was going to deliver, like a dynamic online campaign, was just not there. It was just such a letdown, and it almost feels like Evolve was this. It was hyped up to be something amazing, and on playing it, personally, I thought this is not what it's been called. I mean, IGN gave it a 9 out of 10. I don't know how. I mean, yeah, opinions, but just looking at it objectively, it's not a 9 out of 10 game. There's too much wrong with it. And
I mean,
I don't get that.
It's a
I do
bad
not
business
get that.
plan, certainly. But just through like sheer like game design, what do you think of the like mechanics, the character design, the environments?
The character design, it looks nice. The characters are all all unique, all individual. There's a little bit of banter between them, not much. In terms
Is
of
it
story,
pretty much like the next logical step from the Left 4 Dead gang and the Left 4 Dead 2 gang?
Not as quite.
Characters
I don't think.
well,
I think the Left 4 Dead gang were a bit more likable than these. You got your token big Russian dude. You got your cowboy, Texas cowboy guy. You got like a hunter. A British guy with they're all very stereotypical.
Just sounds like the cast of Predators.
Yeah. Yes. It's almost like that. Pretty much. You got.
See,
your heavy
if they
support and medic.
if they could do what Call of Duty did and get a Predator DLC, they might be able to salvage this game.
Well, to be honest, Alien vs Predator is a better game than Evolve.
And that got
the Xbox
panned.
360 online. That game was amazing. Like you could have Colonial Marines against an alien, and and the alien kills each Colonial Marine, they become aliens. And literally, that game mode is it gets so much fun, especially in one of the levels, which is like a constant moving pyramid, and you're getting like all beeps on your radar, and the next thing you can hear gunfire behind walls and stuff.
Whereas in Evolve, is it only
wishes
just
it
the
was that
one
good.
monster?
It wishes like it was that good. Yeah, well, there's one main monster, and then there's like random wildlife around, which aren't too much of a threat. Some of them can give you a one-hit kill.
Can you spawn any kind of like mini monsters? Can you lay eggs like in every Godzilla movie, all the modern ones?
The monster itself can't, but there's a game mode where you can hatch eggs, and other monsters will join you. I mean, the game modes themselves, you've got Extraction, which is like a 5-round base campaign, and just Hunt. And practically Extraction is just a variation of Hunt, save survivors, shoot eggs, and protect objective. And that's it. You get to choose what you want. Depending who wins or who loses, will have a certain benefit, or something that will go against them. You get turrets, you get an extra soldier. There might be plants that'll eat you, and things like that. The level design itself, the maps are extremely. They're all right, but they all kind of blur into one. None of them really stand out to the point of this is my favourite map. When you play a Call of Duty game, everyone has a favourite map, or everyone knows a certain map. In these, it's literally just jungle. With either it could be a bit snowy, a bit desert-like, or just jungle, and they're not that exciting to play in. So I honestly, if you ask me which map I liked in Evolve, I don't know the names of them. I don't even know it's the one with trees. It's just like there's just not enough there. Destructible environments are so. You can knock down trees and things like that, but that's about it. They're not. It's not as exciting as I thought it would be. And I tried to get my head around it. I tried to like it. I did try and enjoy the game, because I was like, maybe I'm missing something here. Maybe I've got the wrong attitude for it. But I just got fed up of it. Even playing as the monsters can be a bark as well, because if you end up against a really good team, they'll find you in seconds. Sometimes it just feels like you cannot do anything. I played a few Extraction games, and it doesn't matter where I went. I tried sneaking, hiding, going the opposite direction, and they seemed to just find me all the time. And it just got a bit frustrating. And I think you have to be really into playing as a monster to play that, because it can get frustrating to play, especially if you're just starting out and you're against like level 15 to 20 hunters. It can be a little bit unforgiving. I don't think there's actually any skill-based matchmaking in this game. I mean, you can choose what you want to play as well. It has enough functions. So, say if you want to play as Assault the most and the Monster the least, you get to choose out of the 5 in order. So then you'll either end up playing as your top 3. So that's kind of cool. I liked how they did that. So you don't have everyone playing as the same character. There's a few things that work in it, but it's like I said, the establishments that have been giving it 9 out of 10. 8 out of 10. I think they've ignored some major issues with the game, and I think that DLC practices aside, the game itself is severely lacking for a AAA title. I mean, Warframe has more content when it was released than what Evolve has, and that was a free-to-play game. And there's a lot of grinding in that, but there's also a lot of grinding in Evolve. And there's a lot of grinding in Destiny. So that's not a excusable mechanic for creating a game's lifespan. Because
the thing is, with Warframe now, there's like a bit of a case of too much content. When I first got my PS4, I had to wait hours for it to download all the patches, and I pretty much gave up on it after like 2 or 3 days when I actually bought myself proper games. Because it was very grindy.
It's grindy, but I'd rather play Warframe than Evolve. I'd happily wait for 5 hours for it to download as well, just to play it.
Would you say they're at the same level, kind of artistically, graphically?
Visuals. See, that's a funny one. I like Evolve's art style. I like the character designs in that game. I think I like the sci-fi nature of it and the work they've done to it to make the game better and the abilities. I mean, when you think about it, you could drop £20 to £30 on Evolve and you'll still have more content when you get it. I mean, £20 to £30 in Warframe and you'll have more content than what Evolve has at £50. And then, and that's your DLC, basically. You have a choice to buy it or you can grind and earn it. So I'd say Warframe is a better choice than Evolve. If you've not played it, if you've just picked up a PS4 and you're thinking, should I get Evolve? Just download Warframe and drop £30 on it, because you're probably getting more enjoyment out of that. People still play it as well. Even War Thunder, for God's sake, War Thunder's better, and that's a World War II flight sim. It's just, in terms of multiplayer enjoyment, those two games will offer you more than a AAA title, and that, I can't understand.
And they won't cost you a penny.
Yeah, and to start off with, and I don't understand how that's a possibility. I do not understand how they can just get away with it almost feels like Evolve is the bare minimum. Hopefully, they will improve it in updates. I mean, it's not rare for a game to be improved by updates. I mean, look at Drive Club. That was a disaster at launch. Now, good God, it's one of the most beautiful looking racing games to date, and it's had a hell lot more content added to it.
Which I traded in this week for £9.
I know.
9 whole English pounds I got for Drive Club.
I know you're not into racing games and that, but I still think it's a very, very nice game to play. It's worth picking up now than it was before, but Evolve does have its issues with it, and I think they need to add more game modes for a start. They need to get creative a bit with the game modes, because the ones they added are literally the type of stuff you'd get in like someone would give a 4 out of 10 game or something, a very poor game. The choices they've put into this game, like Hunt, that's fine, but you're gonna there needs to be like 10 to 15 different game modes in this. Something more interesting. I mean, there's no Horde mode, which I know it's almost token now in every game. Horde mode, but they are fun to play, and Evolve would have benefited with a game mode like that, because at the end of each campaign, you see the 12 hunters shooting at like hundreds of enemies, which is an ending you pretty much get if you win or lose, by the way. Hundreds of enemies all stood in a line and taking everything down as much as they can. I want to play that. That would look well fun. That'd have been great to play, but that's not the case. And
well, going back to trading in, do you think this is a game that you're going to keep hold of? Check out what they do in the future? Well, I think that says it all then, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's gone. I've traded it in.
And what did you trade it in for?
Got £30. So.
And what did you spend that £30 on?
I spent that £30 on a new mic, which I'm using now. Beautiful. Yeah, the new it's the CAD U37. I might do a review on it in the future, because I've seen a few reviews on it and some are all right. Others, people, I don't know. People was holding the mic in their hands and there was terrible background noise, and thinking, what are you doing? Why are you reviewing it like that? It's really strange. But yeah, it's a really good mic.
Hopefully my audio is a bit better this week as well.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, we've both got new mics now. We're both wanting to bring you the best Deadcast experience possible.
I hope you appreciate it.
That's what we want to do here. Yes, I hope you appreciate it.
It's not cheap.
We spent money on this, damn it.
But you also spent some money on the order.
Well, I didn't actually buy it. My lovely lady bought me the order for Valentine's Day. Oh,
nothing says romance like werewolves.
Yeah, nothing says romance like here's the order. Now, let me just say this: if someone said, right, pick a game, Evolve or the Order, I'd pick the Order 1886. For a start, I like this game. I really like it, but there is a lot wrong with it. and I really hope if it happens they do a sequel and they fix it with the things that are wrong with it. But for the start, the game length, I think it was about 7 hours it took me to beat it, and there's no replayability, no multiplayer, which is, again, is that worth £50? For some, it's going to be up and down. But I mean, visually, this game is absolutely bloody stunning. There is no game that looks as good as this game. And I think the letterbox 16:9 style, that they have, really helps that game look more cinematic, look like a movie. And I feel like, some people are like, oh, it should be full screen. Well, I don't really need to see I don't need to see my character's arse, and I don't need to see what's above his head. I just look up. So that's not a problem for me. I mean, I liked In the Evil Within. That's one of my favourite games of last year. I thought it was perfect, and people moaned so much. They released
it seems to have been criticised.
I'm like, you know what? Fine. It's artistic license. It's what the thing is. And they're like, oh no, they're cutting out on the graphics engine. Oh, they're doing this, they're cutting corners, blah blah blah. Just stop freaking whining. It's the art style. What they
do
want
people
to make
actually
the game
think
look like.
that? The cutting corners, if they have less on screen, they have to do less work modelling the actual environments.
Yeah, exactly. There's people that genuinely think that. I've seen the comments, and I'm just like, freaking hell, what's wrong with you? But I like how the order's presented. It is absolutely the animation, the faces, during the cutscenes that. Unbelievably well animated. The thing does look like a film. It looks like a CGI movie. It looks better than most CGI movies that are released. It's incredible.
Take that, DreamWorks.
Yeah, take that, DreamWorks. The order by DreamWorks. It is a great looking game, and the problem is that it's so good. Half the time though, you do feel like you're an observer rather than a player. You spend a lot of time watching certain things, and you're like, I wish I could be a part of that. I wish I was doing that, but I'm not.
I mean, which is good
X and square, X
in
and
certain games.
now and then. It's good in certain games.
When you want to play Life is Strange or The Wolf Amongst Us, it works out. But when you want to get into some action...
Well, the thing is, the way they handle their quick time events are way better than the order. Like, in certain parts in the order, if you miss a quick time event, you die. And that's like, no. No, it should carry on to a certain fight scene, or it should develop into something else, or affect you later in the game.
Is it similar to the quick time events that we saw in games like Resident Evil or the Dead Space series? Resident Evil 4 particular, I mean.
Yeah, like, press this, you got to keep tapping X to open a box. There's certain moments which there's like two fights in the game that are repeated, like you fight a werewolf, and you do have this exact same fight later in the game. And it's like,
do you remember the first knife fight with Krauser in Resident Evil 4, where it was just not where you fight him on a castle, not where he mutates, but the first one where it's just Leon versus Krauser on like a metal catwalk, and it's just all button prompts. Is it like that?
Yes, exactly like that. There are little bit moments where you're like in a circle with the werewolf, and then you'll have to like press R2 or L2 to do knife attacks, and then you'd have to dodge certain attacks. They mix it up a little bit like that, which is fine, but most of the time you're either pressing triangle or something to do some another maneuver, and that takes things away from it. I think I like quick time events. If you miss it, something else will happen, or but the problem is that with the story, whether you say quick time event or not, the story is just going to end up the same anyway. So there's no player choice in this game, which I thought there might have been from early impressions. I thought you might have chosen to do certain things, and that type of mechanic would have worked great in the order. Having some player choice, because it does feel like a roller coaster almost. Like you're in for a visual treat from start to finish, stunning cutscenes. Almost like, this is probably the best analogy for it. You're watching a really kick-ass movie. It's brilliant. And every now and then, you get a prompt that you say, you can play as the protagonist and move them around the set in the film and kill the guys, and then another cutscene. That's how the order feels. Which is disappointing, because there needed to be more player control. There needs to be more power to the player, and better combat to enjoy the game. rather than feel
Would you
like
say it's kind of in line with something like The Last of Us? Just completely story-driven. There's one story. You can't change the outcome.
Yeah.
But it looks lovely.
Yeah, it looks stunning. I mean, Last of Us story is probably better than The Order because there's a lot more underlying. This is a bit more mythical. It's a bit crazy. I mean, it's the Knights of the Round Table, descendants of King Arthur in the in the 1800s, fighting werewolves and with no spoilers, other mythical known creatures that may in a later game. Because it's definitely sequel bait. It's definitely been opened. I mean,
you think this is like the start of a franchise?
Yeah, the ending shot. To be honest, you'll probably like it, Chris. It almost looks like Batman watching over Gotham. That's what I got from it. And Galahad almost kind of represents that. He's not a billionaire or anything, but he's got the skills like Batman. He goes through hell like Batman, and he comes out on top. And he's like, the things that happen are pretty cool, and the story is great. I love it. I fell in love with it. I was like, I love this. This is great. This is right up my street. Where someone who doesn't like, Knights of the Round Table, it's very English as well. Queen and Country, the voice acting and everything.
Well, a quick little aside. If anyone likes the sound of all this, they'll probably like checking out Kingsman as well, Matthew Vaughn's new film.
All right, yeah.
Which is pretty much like, because he directed Kick-Ass as well, it's pretty much like Kick-Ass with spies rather than superheroes. It's Clive Owen, Michael Caine, Mark Strong, and they have code names like Lancelot and Arthur, and it is based off Secret Society, and it's kind of a take on the early kind of James Bond movies. But yeah, enough about that. It's just, it sounds like it's got a few similarities. Yeah.
I mean, shooting wise, The Order, it's a third person shooter, cover based shooter. If you've ever played Gears of War, very similar. Pop into cover, pop out, shoot people, get into cover. There's no active reload or anything to change things up. There's a few interesting weapons you get to use in the game, but only
you've praised the weapons a lot.
I love. There's this gun. What's it called? You got the arc cannon, which fires electricity, created by Nikola Tesla, which blows people's arms and legs off. And then you've got like a thermite cannon, which fires like a load of like flammable liquid, and then you fire a flare, and it just freaking burns people to crisp. It's the most brutal, evil weapon I've used in a game. It's amazing.
That sounds crazy, but the real life Nikola Tesla, he did actually design an earthquake machine.
Yeah.
So that's not too out there for him.
Yeah. Well, what I like about it is it's almost as if, because when you think of 1886, just a few decades after was World War I, and then World War II, and so in terms of having crazy weapons like that, it is kind of believable in some respect, because you just think they're just bringing a few decades.
Oh, you know what? This could be like Assassin's Creed, in that the first one had a few problems, but it was just getting out there. But if they keep jumping through different time periods, I'd love to see a game like this set during maybe World War I or World War II. Yeah, particularly with kind of Wolfenstein-style Nazi occult kind of monsters and experiments.
The Nazis, if they come into it, I mean, that could be interesting, because I reckon there could be Nazis about, around that time in the 1880s, because if they're bringing things forward, such as weapons of war and there's mythological monsters and things like that, and then they could have like the Nazis and things coming as a threat, and the Order itself could be destroyed.
Do you think the sequels will just be like The Order 1887, 1888, 1889?
It could be like that. They could
or do you think they'll have really generic names like The Order Rising Shadow or The Order The Gathering Storm? Do you think it'll be just like cliched stuff like that?
I don't know. It depends. It really does depend. I mean, all that they see what right now to set the foundations for something that could turn out to be a bloody brilliant franchise. I mean, Resistance, when that first came out, was a bit naff, but when Resistance 2 and Resistance 3 came out, they were pretty damn good. It's not rare for a new IP to be a bit poor and then improve over time. That has happened, and it's happened with a lot of other games as well. So I'm holding out. I mean, right now they've got the graphics, they've got the technical aspect nailed. Now they just need to work on the gameplay. I mean, just today, which is the 25th, I see some concept art for what other areas would look like in the order in the world, and I reckon that might be ideas where you might be going to other countries in the sequel.
Again, a bit like Assassin's Creed, where that's gone.
Yeah, I mean, it could be interesting. I mean, it'd be great going to Rome, and different places in the Americas and that, and just going across because they've got these giant like flying blimps,
Zeppelins.
Zeppelins, yeah. That to get around, and obviously they're going to make more technical advancements. So yeah, I think what The Order is, it's not a great game, but it's not a terrible one. It's a good game. It's just, for some 6, 7 out of 10 game, it's all right. I'd say.
Well, I'm certainly more excited for this than I am for Evolve.
I mean, I'd say this is The Order is an experience to start off with. I mean, visually, the sound design in this game, sound design is amazing. Atmosphere is amazing. That whole cinematic film feel, they've nailed that. It's just the gameplay that's lacking, and they need to build it out. I mean, personally, I love the story, and story is subjective for everyone. Some people might not like it, other people will love it. Voice acting, best voice acting you're going to get. It's like, pretty much actors standard in the game, and so I enjoyed all that. So that's probably why I enjoyed it more than most critics did, because that really sucked me in. But just the gameplay stuff, it is lacking. It's like 50-50 in terms of gameplay, and there's chapters that are just cutscenes, and that's a big no for me. No, chapters are the bits of the game you play. The cutscenes are just in between. There should be no game which has an entire cutscene or 2 cutscenes as 2 chapters. That is ridiculous.
That sounds pretty bad.
That's just abysmal. Do not do that ever again. If Ready at Dawn listen to this Deadcast, do not do that.
They'll be back down to the PSP.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you think they've come from PSP, and this is their first game. They've worked with Sony Santa Monica. They've collaborated with them to make this game. That's pretty impressive to come from making God of War titles for the PSP, and pretty much very mediocre games. Down there, I mean, they made good God of War games for PSP, mind you. They were good, but to make that leap to this is great. I mean, there's like about 130 people in that studio, and that's pretty impressive. So they have definitely put a lot of effort and hard work into achieving some aspects that are flawless in the game, but it seems like other parts have been neglected. Like they've chosen to create a great looking game, but very mediocre to play. There are moments where you're like, I wish I was, I'm fed up of walking to certain areas. It's kind of drawn out. I mean, videogamer.com beat the game in 4 hours. They did a live stream. It's on their site. 4 hours. I mean, whether that's skipping a lot of collectibles and things like that, there are things to find and look at, and there's audio logs as well, which obviously add to the playtime if you listen to them and things like that, But
that was it, completed in 4 hours.
There are games out there that can be beat really quickly. I mean, look at Resident Evil. You can beat it in 2.5 hours. There was a time where you paid...
I can't beat Resident Evil. We've been over this.
Yeah, but there are games out there you can beat in a few hours. Like, a lot of people moaned that Alien Isolation was too long. So if it could be beat in 6 hours, would you have been moaning that it was too short? It just doesn't make sense. And I reckon, obviously, is this complementary to the price tag? So you want a 6-hour game, but not at £50. You want it at £30. Is that what people are asking for? And whether we'll see that in the future, I don't know. There are people that prefer shorter experiences and long ones. There's people that don't want to spend about 25 hours doing fetch quests in Dragon Age Inquisition. You know what I mean? They don't want to do that, but some people love it. So I think they need to find this perfect ground to make games like, if they're going to make these experiences, maybe they should look at maybe reducing the price.
Yeah, I've got to tell you what, if there were still places like Blockbuster around that rented games, I think the sales on stuff like this would plummet if you can complete it within 4 or 5 hours if you really rush through.
Yeah.
They're lucky that the game rental system has just gone. They're very lucky.
Here in the UK, I mean, America have GameFly. Is that right? GameFly? I'm not too familiar with it, but they literally send you the games, you can just play them and complete them and send them back. And The Order is literally a game you could have rented and completed in a day, and platinum in like 2 days. So you get your platinum trophy in 2 days and send it back. That would have hurt it. I mean, people who bought this game digitally, that's unlucky. I mean, I know you're going to enjoy it, and you will enjoy playing it the first time round, but there's very little reason to play it second or third.
It lets you know what you're getting if you can get everything in 2 days. Like Dragon Age, I didn't do everything in that, and it's lasted me a good month. You've had it longer than me, and you still haven't done half as much as I've done on it.
No, I stopped playing because I was thinking, shit, I'm playing this from dusk till dawn. I need to stop. I'm going to jump back into it though, and obviously I'll remember that it's actually on my console and not in a case somewhere that I thought it was lost. God, digital games.
Do you want to tell that story?
Yeah, well, all right. Once me and Chris was online, and Chris was playing Dragon Age multiplayer, and I wanted to play it with him.
I just got it. I was finally excited we could play games together again.
Yeah, because he just got his PS4 as well. Get this. This was after a whole year of me waiting to get it. And I was like, oh man, I've got to get on this and play with you. Right, I'm just going to grab Dragon Age. I went to the shelf. It wasn't there. And I was like, but I remember holding it in my hand. And I was like, oh, damn, because I'd just come back from my hometown of Lincolnshire, Grantham, for like Christmas. So I'd come back and I was like, oh no, I've left it in Grantham. So I rang my mum. It's Dragon Age. It's a blue disc, blah blah blah. You know, blue case with a bloke on their front, it's got dragons and stuff. No,
there's some age.
No, I was looking around everywhere, ringing up people, and then we just sat down and Chris was like, oh, all right, we'll just play some Plants vs Zombies. I went, oh yeah, I've got that digitally. We'll play. Oh shit. I bought Dragon Age digitally, didn't I? I'd never had a hard copy in the first place.
And it was there after about an hour or two of you tearing the place apart to find it.
Yeah, I was getting well worked up. I actually thought someone might have nicked it. I was thinking of people who could have stolen it. And that's crazy. You know, I could have been one of those people on Jeremy Kyle. You stole my Dragon Age. I did take it. But no, I found it in the end, and then we found out that the multiplayer wasn't that great. But, no,
but we found that out together.
You need to be careful though, because that kind of happen. I think it's happened to other people though. It's not just happened to me, which is not safe to know. But yeah, so but if you did buy the order digitally, that's like £49-50 on a game that you may only play a couple of times. Well,
£10 an hour.
In terms of if you're showing, £10 an hour. I mean, God, I don't even get paid that for doing. It's ridiculous. That's more than a day's wages for some people. But at the same time, it's a good game, and it's funny. I mean, it's a good game because I enjoyed playing it. I found myself enjoying that more than Evolve, and visually it's stunning. You're like, holy crap! This is the transition between cutscenes and gameplay is flawless. It's like I am playing a movie. Brilliant. But like, I think the one things they could look at if they're looking at doing a sequel and they want to look at gameplay, look at Evil Within, because Evil Within is very similar, and it's a linear story, you know, A to B, cinematic style, and it's a stunning looking game. It doesn't look as good as The Order, but there's moments in Evil Within that are just like kind of breathtaking. You know, it's like, oh, I'm going to hit my share button for this. This is brilliant. And what that did well was it had boss battles where most times you would have to run out of the way. You'd have to find. There's a boss battle where you have to literally, you can't fight the monster that's chasing you.
Yeah,
you
unkillable.
Get away from it. Yeah, unkillable until you can burn it in a certain point. That's what they needed to do in The Order. They needed to have more variety in the fights and the monsters.
More challenges.
Like there's a bit where you fight the werewolves, and all they do is literally pop out, run towards you, attack you, and run away again.
Well, is it with enough bullets you can solve every problem in the game?
And a melee attack as well. You have to melee them once they're shot. But yeah, pretty much. There are moments in the game that make me being chased by the werewolf, and you're running away from him, shooting at him with your Luger pistol, right? And it's like, wow, this is awesome. And then it grabs you in a quick time event, you know, throws you through a window. And that was pretty cool what they did then. But there weren't enough like set pieces to make the game exciting. There needed to be more interesting and dynamic set pieces. What Evil Within did, there was a moment where there's this big monster that's after you, and you got to fight and you have to hide and then pop out and shoot it a few times and run to another cover. If you hide in a room, it breaks down the wall and comes after you, and it's just, so intense and scary that, that's because the Order could be a scary game. It's got some moments where it's really thick with atmosphere, and werewolves can be scary. They look terrifying when they transform, and they could do that. If Shinji Mikami, he knows his shit. He knows how to make a good game. And there's a lot of people that didn't pick up Evil Within. I don't know why, but I still recommend it's one of the best games of 2014. And if Plants vs Zombies never happened, it'd be my number one. So,
well, it might be short, but at least the Order actually made it. At least it actually got released.
Yeah. I mean, it did get delayed. It got delayed a few times. It was meant to come out last year, I think. And I reckon if this came out as a launch title, it wouldn't have been slated as harshly. I think Rise got away with that a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like, brand new, I've just got a next-gen console, look at these graphics, oh my god. That's the impression that games are going to leave you. And if it came out a year ago, then I think they got more praise. But now, after a year, year and few months or whatever, it's like, yeah, but could have done this a bit sooner. Same with Drive Club. Drive Club's PS Plus edition. I've got the box that says I'm going to get that, right? And I bought my PS4 on launch day, and there's no Drive Club PS Plus edition. I mean, these game delays and these problems they've been having are ridiculous. I mean, like last year was the year of the delayed game. Everything was just getting shifted to this year.
Well,
even Batman was meant to come out last year, and it's now June of this year. So what's going on? Same with Watch Dogs, where it was meant to come out, and then it ended up getting delayed, and then looked like a piece of shit. I mean, that game looked worse than GTA 5 on last gen. Now GTA 5 has come out, still looks better than it. It doesn't make sense. I don't know what Ubisoft are doing, but we had so many of these delayed games. But I think the Order, it's worked out for the Order though, because there isn't any graphical issues or anything like that. It's a stunning looking game. I just wish they had more time to work on the game bit and make it more interesting. But yeah, it's worth playing. If get it cheap. Wait for a few months, pick it up. It's an experience. Don't waste time watching playthroughs on YouTube. I think it's one thing you want: a pair of headphones on, turn the lights off in your ass, and play it in an evening, and then trade it in the next day or whatever. It's worth playing.
Yeah,
that's my.
Well, I'd certainly be interested to give it a try once it maybe comes down a bit in price. But yeah, at least it's out there, because I was hoping to talk about BioWare's Shadow Realms today.
Shadow Realms? What's that?
Yes. Well, we'll never find out, because it's been cancelled. You can talk about all these game delays, but Shadow Realms has been cancelled.
There's been a few cancelled. Did it look good, though? Because there's one game that I was really excited about, Star Wars 1313.
Yeah.
That got cancelled.
Yeah. It wasn't nearly that far. There was a teaser trailer out, but it was very much kind of live action footage and a bit of CG. But what it was promising to be was something very different for BioWare. It was going to be kind of a dungeon crawly, kind of maybe similar to Diablo.
Mr. Molyneux, Peter Molyneux, is doing this game. Is that coming out?
Well, it's coming out. It's still working, but Peter Molyneux's left Goddess now. And him leaving and focusing on something else, they've been having problems with the funding without it, because it's a crowd-funded game. And they've come out as saying now we might not be able to meet all the stretch goals we promised for Goddess, which was quite ambitious, because remember, what was it, that kind of puzzle that Peter Molyneux designed? Was it like a big cube or a big square, and players all had to kind of try and get to the centre? And the guy who eventually got to the centre of this puzzle, which was a big online event, his prize, he was promised he would become one of the gods of Goddess. This everyday player would get phenomenal cosmic power, to quote the genie from Aladdin. But yeah, I imagine that's scrapped as well, because Peter Molyneux has got a big mouth. And
he has got a big mouth. He made a lot of promises back in the day. And
The Fable tree.
He overlooked some great, Fable 1 and 2. Right, Fable 3. God, Jesus Christ. Don't know what happened there.
Fable 3, Peter Molyneux figured out we can make the characters hold hands and sold it entirely on that.
Yeah.
In fact, with Fable 3, they even forgot the fact that, you're supposed to provide an evil option as well. You could only really play as a good guy in Fable 3.
Yeah. And in Fable 2, it was sold on the dog, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Everything was built around this dog that could hunt and do stuff. And then Milo was another one, wasn't it?
Yeah, he promised Milo. We never got Milo, which is kind of a good thing.
This is the thing. This is the thing, though, when it comes like with Kinect and stuff like that. When that came out, everyone was like, "Wow!" But it never happened. And there's a few. we got
Disneyland Kinect Adventures though, which I made you download the demo of whilst I was at your place. I forced you to do that, and we had a good old time. We flew through London with Peter Pan and Tinkerbell. It was beautiful.
It was interesting, to say the least. But Kinect motion control games, I don't think will ever take off. I mean, the Wii was amazing with motion control because it was a good new gimmick, and that's what it sold so well because it was new. We hadn't seen it really before. It has been done before to some aspects on other games like motion control, or Power Glove, if you remember Power Glove. That's going back some years, but no, what they're doing with these is with Kinect, it could only do so much, and same with the new Kinect, which has now been practically abandoned now by Microsoft, which I think was stupid, like showing undying support for something and then going, okay, yeah, we don't care anymore, because the amount of developers, you're talking about unreleased games, yeah. Think how many unreleased or just scrapped Kinect games was, because the last Xbox One came out nearly 2013, end of 2013, if I'm right. Yeah, and then 2014, and then this year. How many Kinect games have been out? You've got the fighting one that was terrible on launch.
Was the Star Wars one on that, or was that on 360?
Star Wars was on the 360.
So that doesn't count.
So, off the top of my head, I can only think of 3. There should have been a lot more. Other than
what about the Fantasia one? Fantasia Music Evolved.
I think Fantasia. So let's say 4 games. And there could be more. People might be saying in the comments that there might be some games, but that's poor for a game that that I thought there'd have been a lot more coming out for the Kinect and maybe showing off what it can really do. If you're telling us that we need to have it, prove to us in the games rather than just saying so. And it doesn't seem they had that. And whether so many projects have been cancelled because of that, it does make you wonder. That's something I've been thinking about. A lot of projects have been canned. At one point, Until Dawn was canned. That was meant to be a PlayStation Move game. Never happened. Now, though, it's been reawoken, and it's not a Move game anymore. It's all about controller. So,
I mean, they're still including the Move elements. But
Rise was meant to be a Kinect game. Rise was a Kinect game, first person, stabby stab. Then that got abandoned, and then you could use Kinect to say fire arrows, which, if it listened to you right, you could do. Yeah, no, you needed to use it more than that. And I think it was a silly thing to put so much time and money building a device and then just abandoning it just because people thought the NSA was watching them and think silly things like that. I think they needed to sell it on the games, and now they've got their messaging a bit better. Maybe they might have to sort that out, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm looking forward to Morpheus though. That's gonna sell games. That is, I don't know. You've seen much Morpheus? I can't wait.
I actually can't recall what Morpheus was. Sell it to me.
VR. So technically, like the Oculus Rift.
Oh yes, PlayStation's one. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
that'd be good for something like Until Dawn.
Yes, and it's going to be good for a lot of things. And some of the amazing bits where you're going down into a shark, into the shark-infested waters, and you're in a steel cage, and you can look around you and things like that. And that, to get 3D surround sound, I think it's going to create some interesting experiences. Maybe, it could probably be a gimmick, but I think it could catch on if they develop the right games for it. Because
all right, quickly,
really make some great games.
Quickly, which one game universe would you want to Morpheus into? If you could only pick one.
Oh That's a tough one.
Well, you know what I'd
Skyrim's
say?
been done, but
I'd say Mass Effect.
you'd say Mass Effect. Like,
I'd want to go on the
first person.
Citadel and walk around and see the fountains and see the aliens.
See, like, yeah.
But saying that, I think something like...
No Man's Sky would be really good with Morpheus. No Man's Sky would be really good.
I think they could get a lot of like franchise deals as well. Like, imagine how much money they could make on a game where you could walk around Hogwarts or Middle Earth or something, or like Disney World. They follow up Connected Ventures with virtual Disney World.
Yeah, they could do that. I mean, it's a brand new venture, and I don't think people would. Oculus is cool, dev kit, but once you've got the big developers and it's more of a mainstream thing, you may see some really good games, and hopefully it's not just going to end up being a gimmick, which will be tossed aside after a short
Imagine
while,
how
like
long
the Move controllers or the Kinect.
Imagine how long it'd take you to complete Dragon Age if you were actually in that world and you could see all the flowers and all the pretty animals.
I know.
Imagine how much you'd get distracted then.
Yeah, imagine. Yeah, I think.
You won't be able to look Morrigan in the eye.
That game company could probably do some really interesting. They're the same guys who did Flower, and they did a lot of other really good games. And I think or the guys who made Journey, that.
Yeah.
Being in that world in a desert just for exploring, that's cool. So it's, there's a lot of.
I figured it out. I figured out the best one. A remake of Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh yeah. I mean, God, Last Guardian. It's still on, still on the go. Apparently.
Yeah.
They need to release something because they're a very talented game company. You haven't done a lot for the last how many years?
Yeah, they did Ico Shadow of the Colossus, and that's it.
Yeah, unfortunately. So hopefully we'll see something from them soon. Maybe E3. We'll see. Maybe we say that every year. And we're just like no. But yeah, so it depends. But yeah, I think Morpheus is going to be at least interesting. Like, would it be more fun playing Evolve with Morpheus?
Probably not, because you'd have to pay subscriptions for Left Eye and for the Right Eye.
Yeah, you'd have to pay DLC to use either eye. No, I mean, I don't know. I think it might make it a little bit fun for a while, but then you realise, heck, this game's still not very good, and then get over it. But so it depends. As I'm excited to see how it turns out, and hopefully we'll find out what a price it's going to be for and release date later on this year, maybe. Fingers crossed, because I'm excited to see what it brings and all these games that are coming out. Like The Order would look great with Morpheus. That really put you into the atmosphere of the world, and of course horror games as well. Yeah, but we could go on forever. We're coming to the end of the Deadcast, Chris.
Yeah.
But we've got a bit more content coming for everyone, haven't we?
Yeah, a little
tens,
something.
Haven't we? We've got some top tens. 8 weeks is like me and Chris like top tens.
That was the first episode. Top 10 anticipated games of this year.
Yeah. And we've got a few nice little topics and top 10 stuff coming up for you soon. So keep an eye out for them.
Yeah, they'll be a little shorter than the main podcast.
Yeah.
Half an hour
they'll
or
be
so.
shorter than a Deadcast. Yeah, but looking about half hour, as long as we don't ramble on too much. Like I am prone to doing that. But anyway, as always, I'm SharnOfTheDEAD. This was my best
sometimes book. I'm Chris Sumner.
It's Chris Sumner, or Chris someone, or Chris, whatever. We'll see you in the next Deadcast. Hope you enjoyed it, and bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Oh, like Sooty. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.